So you think you can understand your friend? But what if the person you trust is a passionate scholar, a devoted criminology student, but is hiding something unimaginable? What if beneath the surface of friendly smiles and intellectual pursuits lay a mind capable of meticulously planning and executing a chilling crime?
All planned.
It's inhumane. You wouldn't do these type of things to any living creature, let alone an innocent human being.
Bryan Kohberger was not just another PhD candidate. He was immersed in understanding the criminal mind. But could his fascination have turned into something far more sinister? Did his study of criminals ignite something within him? Or was it always there, lying dormant, waiting for the right moment? 4 young lives were brutally taken in the quiet town of Moscow, Idaho. This is the story of Bryan Kohberger, a man whose blend of brilliance and brutality leaves us asking, can you ever truly know who's standing beside you? Psychopathy is often seen as the embodiment of evil, a lack of empathy, a thirst for control, a manipulative drive. But what if some psychopaths are capable of showing moments of care, or at least the semblance of it? Could it be that this disorder is more layered than we think? Defined by persistent antisocial behavior, boldness, and egotism, psychopathy isn't always obvious. It can wear a mask of charm, intelligence, and even compassion. Bryan Kohberger was not what you'd expect of a murder suspect. A criminology PhD candidate, he spent years probing the depths of criminal psychology. He interviewed convicts, studied crime scenes, and explored the motivations behind the darkest of deeds. On November 13, 2022, 4 promising University of Idaho students, Chapin, Xana Kernodle, Madison Mogen, and Kaylee Goncalves, were found brutally murdered in an off-campus house. Their bodies lay in their home, each stabbed multiple times. The victims were not strangers. They were friends. This started a rigorous pursuit of the killer. Who, in the name of God, was he? Suspicion landed on Kohberger. The motive? The studies had made him more dangerous. And oh, did he give the authorities the chase of their life, as he had the tools to potentially evade capture. Chapin, a 20-year-old freshman pursuing recreation and tourism management. Xana Kernodle, a 20-year-old junior studying marketing. Madison Mogen, a 21-year-old senior also in marketing. And Kaylee Goncalves, a 21-year-old senior in general studies. They were bound by friendship, who just months before walked the same academic halls. Kohberger's career seemed built on empathy, or at least an attempt to understand it. Ironically, his research was designed to uncover the motives of criminals and the thoughts behind their actions. Bryan Kohberger grew up in Effort, Pennsylvania, a small community in Monroe County. He was the youngest child in a family that seemed ordinary. His father worked as a maintenance worker, and the family lived a modest lifestyle in the area. Kohberger was described as a loner and was reportedly overweight during his early high school years, which led to bullying. In his senior year, he lost about 100 pounds, which coincided with a significant shift in his behavior, described by peers as more aggressive and prone to bullying others. In high school, Kohberger also developed a fascination with law enforcement and criminal justice, which became a major focus of his studies. He pursued this interest throughout college, earning a bachelor's degree in psychology and later a master's degree in criminal justice from DeSales University in 2022. During his studies, he was reportedly very focused and performed well academically, even receiving strong recommendations from his professors. However, his social interactions often involved heated arguments, particularly with female classmates, and reports indicate that he could be socially awkward and abrasive. Kohberger's path also had a darker side, including alleged substance abuse. In high school, he reportedly struggled with heroin addiction before attempting to get sober. Bryan Kohberger was in Moscow, Idaho at the time of the murders. He was pursuing his PhD in criminology at Washington State University, located in Pullman, Washington, which is about 8 miles from Moscow. Kohberger's presence in the area and his academic focus on criminal behavior have been key elements in the investigation. Especially given the proximity of his residence to the crime scene, Kohberger seemingly was capable of cognitive empathy. Did it make him better at hiding his true nature?
Some of the kids leave in waves, so I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to see you this weekend or not. Hey, hope you have a great, Thanksgiving with your family, and that was the last I saw them.
Modus operandi. The murders were committed with precision, suggesting a well-planned attack. Kohberger allegedly stalked the victims, learning their routines before striking.
Ended up trying to go and talk to her, and then he gave up on it, and he ended up walking away. So she thought she was being stalked up to a certain point, and then looked behind her, and he was no longer behind her. So
on that November night, he reportedly entered the house armed with a knife, executing the attack with calculated efficiency. Suspicion toward Bryan Kohberger in the University of Idaho murders case was triggered by a combination of factors, primarily forensic evidence, digital tracking, and his behavior leading up to the arrest. Investigators found a knife sheath at the crime scene, which had Kohberger's DNA on it. This was a critical piece of evidence that directly linked him to the murders. Then cell tower data showed that Kohberger's phone was in the vicinity of the victim's house on several occasions before the murders, indicating potential surveillance or stalking behavior. Furthermore, surveillance footage captured a white Hyundai Elantra near the crime scene at the time of the murders. Kohberger drove a similar car, which investigators traced back to him, raising more suspicions.
The star piece of evidence in the prosecution's case is the DNA that was found on the knife sheath that was left at the crime scene. But there's so much other evidence that's also pointing towards nobody else that we're aware of.
In the months leading up to the crime, Kohberger exhibited concerning behavior. At his university, he was also known for having heated arguments with classmates, often taking contrarian views and appearing socially awkward. These combined factors led law enforcement to consider Kohberger a prime suspect, culminating in his arrest. On December 30th, SWAT teams closed in on Kohberger at his parents' home in Pennsylvania. The criminology student, now in handcuffs, had become the subject of the very criminal system he once studied. His defense team challenges both the DNA evidence and the use of digital data. With a motion to remove the death penalty, a critical hearing is set for November 2024, along with requests for a change of venue due to potential jury bias from extensive media coverage.
It's agony. It's agony.
Psychopathic behavior is often marked by manipulation, a lack of empathy, and a need for control, which can extend beyond the suspect to impact victims' families during trials. The families of the Idaho victims have faced considerable hardship, navigating logistical, emotional, and financial challenges. Their persistent presence at court proceedings reveals a desire for accountability and emotional closure, elements often exploited or disregarded by psychopaths who may seek to evade responsibility. Steve Goncalves, Kaylee's father, has been particularly vocal, participating in media interviews to keep the case in the public eye and express his frustrations with delays. The Goncalves family started a GoFundMe to cover travel and accommodation costs for the relocated trial, ensuring their presence at every hearing. Similarly, Xana Kernodle's family has emphasized the importance of supporting each other through the long legal process. Meanwhile, the Chapin family has called for privacy while supporting the judicial proceedings from a distance, focusing on honoring Ethan's memory. Overall, these families remain united in their resolve, despite the logistical and emotional challenges of pursuing justice for their loved ones. Bryan Kohberger has not participated in any formal interviews since his arrest, maintaining a low profile while his defense navigates the legal process. Upon his arrest, Kohberger initially agreed to speak with law enforcement, but quickly requested an attorney when specific questions about the Idaho murders were raised, halting further communication. This brief engagement left authorities with limited direct insight into his mindset or motives regarding the crimes. The Bryan Kohberger case is still unfolding, with key hearings scheduled and a trial set for June 2025. Psychological analysis continues to shed light on his alleged behavior, but many questions about the case remain unanswered. As new evidence and testimonies emerge, this story will evolve, impacting both legal and psychological discussions. These challenges have been a key part of pre-trial hearings and motions leading up to the trial, now scheduled for mid-2025. Don't miss any updates. Tune in for the latest insights on this ongoing investigation. Till then, do subscribe, stay safe, and stay curious.